Yes. Welcome once again, everybody. Cannabis News with Joe Klare. It is November 15th, 2018. Presented, as always, by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab at marijuanatimes.org. You can find the show. A bunch of great articles there as well. Check it out, marijuanatimes.org. Also, you can search the Marijuana Times on Apple Podcasts to find the audio-only version of this show. Today, talking about a big pharmaceutical company who's looking to go all in on cannabis. Also, new plant-derived marijuana medication is now on pharmacy shelves. We talked about it before. We'll tell you about it again. And also, there's a new governor in Colorado, one of the many pro-marijuana election results from election night, one we have yet to talk about. So all that is coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. If you live in a state where cannabis cultivation is legal, you don't want to use banned pesticides, you don't want to use harmful chemicals, you want to grow safe and poison-free, you can do that, of course, with Natureside, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. This first story is by yours truly over marijuanatimes.org. A big pharmaceutical company going all in on cannabis? Question mark? That's not the inflection of my voice. Didn't imply the question mark. In case if you're only listening on audio as well, you may remember the name Incest. It's a pharmaceutical company. They made money making fentanyl. Got in a lot of trouble for that and deceptive sale practices and such, and supposedly allegedly bribing doctors to prescribe their medications. You may also remember they donated $500,000 to or against the legalization efforts in Arizona in 2016. They're hoping to kind of keep their little hold on the synthetic THC spray and what they want to do in the cannabis space. Well, now things have seemingly come a little bit full circle, if you will. They're looking to sell off all of their opioid-related sections of the company because they're not performing anymore. You know, fentanyl is you get enough bad press, I guess, you can kill enough people. People start to say, hey, you know what? I don't want that stuff. I'm not going to put that stuff in my body. Revenues go down. Sales happen. They want to move completely into the cannabis space and focus on their cannabis-derived medications or their synthetic cannabis medications or whatever it is that they're looking to do. They have a new CEO who, is doing what a new CEO should do, getting rid of the parts of the company that don't work and trying to rebuild a reputation that's been kind of shattered. As I say in the article, it'd be easy to look at this and say, Incest are a bunch of hypocrites. They're trying to monopolize the cannabis, and they're giving money against cannabis legalization in Arizona, and they suck. But you know what? In the end, just like when it's happening in the alcohol industry, you notice that a lot of alcohol companies are now getting into the cannabis space. They can't ignore it anymore. They can't fight against it anymore. This is a good thing. They're all going to come and invest their money in cannabis. Yes, make cannabis medications, make cannabis-infused beverages, whatever you're going to do. Bring more money, more investment into the cannabis space. That is a good thing. And as I say again in the article, if you can't beat them, join them, is the phrase that comes to mind. They can't beat marijuana legalization. They fought for years. The alcohol companies, the pharmaceutical companies, for years gave tens, maybe hundreds, maybe even billions of dollars to fight marijuana legalization. They still couldn't stop us. So now they're in a position where they have to get on board or they're going to be left behind. Same thing with quote-unquote big tobacco. People freak out at maybe a tobacco company will get in the cannabis space. Yeah, they might. Guess what? People don't want cigarettes. They want weed. That's what they want. And a good company will follow the demand of the market. They can do what they can to create it. But in the end, they have to serve what the consumers want or they go out of business. So that's what Incest is going to do. Whether or not to be successful, whether or not you want to take medications from their company, that's up to you. If you don't, you think they're hypocrites, that's a perfectly valid point of view to have. Don't give them your money. By all means. If a bunch of you do it and they fall and they go under, it's the way things are. Maybe you should have done better sooner. Whatever. It's not my problem. Next up, it's from this story's from normal.org. Plant-derived marijuana medicine now available in U.S. pharmacies. Many of you know the name Epidiolex. We've talked about it a lot on this show. Is the first ever plant-derived cannabis medication to get approval from the Food and Drug Administration. They approved the product in June, the FDA did, for the explicit treatment of two rare forms of severe epilepsy, Lennox-Gastaut syndrome and Dravet syndrome, maybe Dravet syndrome, probably. In September, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration rescheduled it from Schedule 1 to Schedule 5, but it only applies to FDA-approved cannabis medications, of which there's only one, Epidiolex. Anyway, all of this is a long-winded way of saying, hey, now if you got the money and you know someone or you qualify under one of these symptoms, you may be able to get Epidiolex from a pharmacy. An annual prescription for Epidiolex is estimated to cost $32,500. Price the manufacturer says is in line with other FDA-approved anti-epileptic drugs. Epidiolex is the fourth marijuana-based medicine to receive FDA approval, including Marinol, Sesamet, and Syndrose, which is a synthetic THC from the company we previously talked about, Incest. However, Epidiolex is the first FDA-approved medicine containing plant-derived, non-synthetic cannabinoids. It means it's coming directly from the plant. It's not synthetic. It's not made, to mimic these effects like something like Marinol or Syndrose. It actually is a CBD medicine from the plant, and very special, very favored. They got FDA approval. They got the DEA to move them to Schedule 5. That's fantastic. But, there's also only one. I mean, that's not really any kind of, it's something we'll look back on, hopefully, years from now and say, well, that's where things began, and now all these drugs are FDA approved, and everybody loves them, and, medical marijuana is access is plentiful for anybody who needs it, much like, anything else in the world, or at least in this country, bananas, blenders, big screen TVs, all that crap. Marijuana, it should just be like that. You want to buy some marijuana, you just go to the store and get some, or you have some delivered, or you can grow some at home, whatever. Someday. But today, Epidiolex is king of their little, section of the healthcare market. This last story is from the Colorado Sun, coloradosun.com. It wasn't just cash. How texting cannabis voters and tech outreach strategies lifted Jared Polis to victories. Of course, many of you are to victory in the Colorado governor's race. Of course, many of you know the name Jared Polis, Colorado congressman, a very vocal champion of medical marijuana and recreational marijuana, and of the right of his state of Colorado to legalize and be protected from federal interference of their cannabis legalization measure. By about 52% to 45%, he beat his Republican challenger in the Colorado governor's race on election night. This is a pretty long story. It's linked in the description of this video, but basically talks about how Polis didn't run from cannabis voters. He embraced them. He targeted them. He did other, technological advancements like text messages, messaging, and things like that to win in Colorado. And it's interesting because politicians and lawmakers for a long time have, kind of, poo-pooed the marijuana vote. That's not the phrase I want to use. Have discounted the marijuana vote. I don't know why poo-poo came to my mind before discounted, but they denigrated the marijuana vote. They weren't worried about it. But Jared Polis won in part by embracing and continuing to be as vocal as ever about his support for marijuana legalization. They say Polis' campaign used a state database to target cannabis industry employees, sent tailored text messages and mailers on the issue, held voter registration drives at dispensaries, and hired a cannabis outreach director. Jen Ritter, Polis' campaign manager, wrote in a memo, quote, his unequivocal boldness on issues such as cannabis proved to be a valuable asset. The campaign's tactics exemplify Polis' broader approach to the campaign, where a combination of big money, technology, and embrace of liberal issues helped propel him to victory. That's one of the results from election night. We didn't talk about one of the very pro-marijuana results. Jared Polis being governor of Colorado, if anybody's going to fight for marijuana legalization and the right of Colorado to set their own policy when it comes to cannabis, it's going to be Jared Polis. He will be missed. I imagine his voice will be missed in the House of Representatives, but hopefully with the Democrats taking control and Pete Sessions being gone, it won't matter as much, and that he can be an asset to the cannabis industry and the cannabis community from the governor's mansion in Colorado. That's going to do it for Cannabis News. Thanks, everybody. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Keep sharing, liking, commenting on the videos, whether it's on YouTube or Vimeo or little clips on Facebook or Apple Podcasts for the audio-only version of the show, or marijuanatimes.org. You can share it from there as well. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.